Well, hey y'all, and welcome to the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. I'm Susan, your hostess, and we are preserving food today. I have cut some potatoes. These are organically grown. Y'all pardon my camera while I adjust to the lighting. But these are red potatoes I bought from the Amish. I know that they're organically grown. Therefore, I left the skin on. But if you're buying potatoes out of the store, they have probably been sprayed with chemicals. You need to make sure you peel those potatoes. These have been cut up yesterday, and I'm going to do 7 quarts today, probably more than that off camera, because I have 40 pounds of potatoes to work through. I've also prepared my jars, and my canning lids are the one-piece button top canning lids that I talked to you in the previous video about. What is different with this potato recipe than the recipe I used to can with before? Well, I'm going to be adding Pickle Crisp. Pickle Crisp. And it is a calcium chloride that they use in commercial canning. What this will do is it will keep the potatoes from going mushy. They will stay firm and keep their structure about them. Now, I have rinsed my potatoes several times because you want to get as much of that starch off of your potatoes before you can, to keep them from going cloudy in your jars. So what this will do is I'm going to be adding this along with my salt, this stuff here, and I'm using regular canning salt in my recipe, and I'm following the Ball Complete Book of Home Canning and Preserving, page 392 for white potatoes. So I'm going to wash and peel and wash again. It says you can leave your small potatoes whole, but I prefer to cut them in half because I want all that starch to leach out into the water as much as possible. I am going to cold pack these. I am not going to hot pack them. And I am going to get them into my quart jars. Now, if you're doing pint jars, you will do them for, let's see, you'll process them for 35 minutes and quarts for 40 minutes. Of course, you're processing them in a pressure canner because it is a low acid food and it has to be pressure canned. And I'm going to use I believe it's a 1-inch headspace. Let me double check that. Page 385. Yes, 1-inch headspace. So I'm going to be doing my quarts for 40 minutes in my pressure canner that I've already set up with the appropriate amount of water. Calcium chloride is a firming agent used for commercial pickling and canning. If you buy canned potatoes in the store, you know, the little cans, they have this product in there. It does change the taste slightly of your fresh potatoes. It won't taste exactly like fresh potatoes, but it will keep them crisper and they won't turn to mush. And I want potatoes on my shelf that I can fry. So we did some regular potatoes, and now I'm going to do some, and I'm just going to write frying potatoes on my lids when they are done. Make sure you're using a food grade calcium chloride product like Pickle Crisp. So this is Pickle Crisp by Ball. And let me get the lid open. You never do things on camera. Looks like little pellets. Little bitty pellets. So I will be using 1/8 teaspoon of Pickle Crisp per pint, or I will be using a 1/4 teaspoon per quart. You don't want to use more than that because it will make your product bitter. So let's get to canning. So I'm going to drain and rinse my potatoes one more time. They've already been rinsed 3 times, but I want to make sure I get that 4th time in before I put them in my jars. To each of my jars, I'm adding a 1/4 teaspoon of the Pickle Crisp granules because I'm using quart jars. I'm using canning salt. If I was doing pint jars, I would use a 1/2 teaspoon per pint, but for quarts, it's 1 teaspoon per quart. Now I have my funnel set up and I'm just going to add my potatoes. It's recommended that you cut them into 1-inch cubes. Let me grab a knife because I see one that's a little bit bigger. That one's quite big, so I'm going to cut that in half. And it'll make it easier to get them out of the jars. This would actually be better in wide mouth jars, but I don't have very many wide mouth jars right now. I'm using what I have on hand. And I'm going to pack them in there to the about 1-inch space, head space on the jars with the potatoes. It always pays to double check your potatoes because sometimes you miss a bad spot or don't cut them the right size. Got a little bad spot on it. Okay, I'm going to get some more potatoes rinsed off and get these jars finished. Water to my jars. I went too far on that one. I'm going to debubble. Now make sure your food is down in there and check your head space. That jar is perfect. So I'm going to finish these out. We're going to come back. We're going to wipe the rims and apply our one-piece canning lids. I'm going to use 5% white vinegar. And there's two reasons for wiping the rims. One is you're checking for any nicks or anything in the top of your canning jar that might cause failure on your canning, and two, to clean any oils that might have come off your hands while you're filling your jars. I've got my clean canning lids ready to go. And it's simply just placing the lid on the jar, making sure it goes on straight till it doesn't turn anymore. And then fill your cold canner with your cold jars. One of my jars is not a Arkansas glass jar, so we're going to see how it works on these jars. This is my first time using the Pickle Crisp in any product, and I thought, well, let's try it with potatoes. I bought it last year with that intention to use it on my potatoes, and I'm probably going to be canning dill pickles with it. You can use it on your pickled green beans and beets and so forth to keep them firmer in the canning jar. And I also want you to notice, it looks full, but there's plenty of room in that jar. I didn't overcrowd the jars either with the product. So I'm going to get my canner loaded, grease the edges of your lip on your canner and your gasket inside. Check your peephole. Make sure you can see light through the peephole and apply your lid. I'm going to make sure this is centered on my stove. I have a special burner that I use on my electric stove just for canning. It raises the height of it up, and the reason I do that is it will burn out burners trying to get your canners up to temperature without it on certain brand stoves. So I'm going to set this on my sweet spot, which is between a 7 and 8 on my stove. Allow this to vent for 10 minutes, apply my weight, wait for it to jiggle, and go to 40 minutes. Turn my burner off and allow it to come down off pressure. Then I will slightly remove my lid, allow it to let loose some of those steam for about 5 to 10 minutes, then take it out and set it on my counter and wait 12 to 24 hours before I check my jars. These probably will come out of the canner sealing. I'm going to go ahead and get my second batch jars set up for canning potatoes, and we'll be back when these come out of the canner. There's the first 7 out of the canner, and I have a total of 22 quarts that will be going through the canner. My second load is loaded. I change out the water between to make sure the water is cold because my product is cold. So there's the before and after. We'll be doing a taste test on these potatoes in the near future, so y'all be on the lookout for that. And I have lots of work left to do today, folks. Thank you for joining me as I do my canning adventures. Hey friends, thank you so much for watching my channel. Thank you for the many comments, the likes, the friendships, and for sharing this content out. Take a moment and watch all of the advertisements because that is how I get monetized and get paid. I appreciate each and every one of you for your time and your patience. And y'all, I have this special content over here I think you might like.